Hello everyone, here's a quick tutorial that you had requested through Happy Bird's Glitter Nest, and I'm glad to do it. I think it's a wonderful Facebook page, a wonderful forum that we're able to enjoy each other's crafts and share with each other, and it's so supportive. So a big shout out to Happy Bird herself, and thoroughly enjoyed that Facebook page and all her videos on YouTube. Of course, this is about the post that I put up about these soda pop tabs and how I made them into these funky looking little owls here. So we've got the pop tops that we've altered, and these are the first three that I ever made. A couple things I want to point out first, so you have an understanding of how they were made. First of all, first and foremost, let me say it is your imagination. You make them however you want to be funky with, and there are ways that I'm sure that you would prefer to do something over me. Before I get started though, I must tell you that this is not actually my idea. Like a lot of us, I went on to Pinterest and was looking at all kinds of different crafts, and I ran across this and I thought, oh, I'd like to do this. So first I want to say that I got this off of Pinterest. It was labeled Pop Can Soda Owls, and the reference that it gave was craftycrafts.wordpress.com. It was done by someone named Kami Kinard in June of 2012. So I looked at that pin, got my own ideas, and I altered them. So we are individuals and we like to do things our own way, and that's what makes us unique. So whatever way works for you, please by all means do it, but hopefully this will get you started in the right direction. So having said that, I wanted to show you these, that this one, that in the body of it I used the larger seed beads versus this one where I would call them micro seed beads. They're the tiniest of tiny seed beads I think I have ever seen. And then this one, of course, for the belly of it is just one singular bead that I did nothing more to. All of these is to use glue to adhere these things right here, so they're all glued down. Their eyes are sequins. This one has very large centers of the eyes. This one, of course, I used kind of some jewel gemstones for the eyes. They're a teal color. And this one, for the center of the eyes, I used a little bit larger seed beads, not as large as these and not as small as these, so somewhere in between. That's what I used for the center of the eyes. You may have some other ideas. One thing that I thought of that would be really cute is in the center of the sequin, use the daisy spacer and also put a sequin in the daisy spacer, so that would make a really cute eye owl too, and that may be one of my next projects. Of course, we've got some feathers here. The other thing I want to point out to you is the backs of these. This needs some type of support to do all the gluing, so the backs of these are nothing more than cardboard. This one I was experimenting with, and you might be able to see the sheen on that one. That one does have some shiny glue on it, and I'll tell you about that in just a moment. These I did not do any glue on. They're just flat black, and that just makes it look a little bit more polished. Also, it hides where the feathers have been glued down. So having said that, let's go ahead and let me tell you some of the supplies that you need. And if you ever have any questions, something I failed to mention or explain in the video, just leave a message for me and I'll be glad to answer your question best that I can. So what you are going to need obviously is some pop tops, right? And most of these are all the same size. I have a few that are different size, such as this one right here actually turned out to be a different size. So, they came from various types of cans, like soup cans, just some other things as well. So you are going to need some sequins. You are also going to need some type of glue. The first kind of glue that I used, and I ran out, it is an empty container. I like using this for a lot of reasons. I've used E6000. I have absolutely nothing against E6000 or any other of the glues, but this one seems to work well for me. One, because, by the way, I want to tell you that I ran out and I did not have any more of dimensional glue. It is a dimensional glue in the house, but I did have this one in my stash, and this is by Kins, and it is a diamond glaze, and you can see here it says that it is dimensional adhesive. Well, a couple reasons why I like this type of glue. One is it has a very precise tip here, right here, so you can get into the tiny spaces that you see there. And the other thing that I absolutely love is that the drying time on this is very quick. It's not like super glue, but it's not like E6000. It's, you know, in between. You know, some of the drying times on your E6000, some of your other glues take quite some time. But this one is kind of like Goldilocks and Three Bears. It's just right for me, so I really like the diamond glaze, and it does a really good job for me. So you are going to need some glue, and that's one of the reasons why you see that it's glossy on the back of this. So that's just, you know, if you prefer it to be glossy, or if you prefer not to be glossy, for it to be flat like that one. All right, so we have sequins, we have glue. The next thing I want to show you is I think it is very, very, very important that you have a pair of tweezers, because if you don't, you might suffer from what I call the fat finger syndrome. When you get into these tiny things like this, you feel like you have fat fingers. So a pair of tweezers makes that much easier on you. Some other supplies, you're going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need a pair of wire cutters. You're going to need a pair of pliers. Those are needle nose. Possibly you could use the flat nose pliers as well. You are going to need a pen, a marker, and by the way, just to let you know, that's the only thing I used for that to make it black on the back. It's just I colored it in with a marker. You are also going to need some cardboard, such as this type of cardboard from Saltine Crackers. It could be a cereal box. It could be anything that's going to give you this type of cardboard right here. All right. Oh, and you are also going to need some wire like this. This happens to be 20 gauge wire. You may find out that you like 18 gauge better. You might like 22 gauge better, but 20 seems to be the good one for me. All right. So I think I've covered basically all your supplies, other than, you know, for a fact that you're going to need beads, sequins. I said sequins, beads. Oh, I have something to show you. You're also going to need, this is what makes the owl, you're going to need feathers. I have quite a few feathers here. We have a Dollar Tree here in our town. You know, everything in there is $1. And if you'll notice that these particular colors, we're moving into Mardi Gras season, so these are Mardi Gras colors. And each boa, and it's not like a full-length boa, but it's a decent-sized boa, you get for $1. You know, of course, there's other options. You can go to the craft store and get boas there. They tend to for me personally, to be a little bit on the expensive side. So you can get boas at the craft store, or you can buy the individual packages of the feathers and use those as well. So that's pretty much it. So let me show you, I think where we need to get started first is when you have your tab here. I purposely cut it like this so it only has 1 foot here, so I can show you how we need to do that. You're going to need your 20 gauge wire, or again, whatever wire gauge that you choose, and you're going to come in here. I've done one for you, so I'm going to do the other one, and you're going to fold it. It does not have to be in half, but just fold it around that edge. And I'm trying to save both you and me time by having a lot of these things done, because I know your time is precious and you like to do your crafts, and I don't know, so I'm just trying to be considerate. So you're going to take this wire and you're going to wrap it around, and you might need some assistance, and I encourage you to do so. Get your pliers out and pull that on around, and then you're going to take it and you're going to pull it around again and pull it, and if you'll notice, they all kind of look cattywampus, but that's okay, because we're going to take our pliers and we're going to pull them in, squeeze. We're going to do the same thing on the back side. Alright, so there we go. We got them together, and so now what you need to do is pull this so everything comes to the back, because we're looking at the back. And I'm going to lift this up just a little bit, because now we're going to use our wire cutters, and we're going to cut, I wouldn't say flush, but leave yourself just a tad, and make sure you hold that down so your wire doesn't go flying everywhere. All right, so once we have that, then we're going to come back to our needle nose pliers, and we're going to wrap that and push it down because we don't want those that wire sticking up, and we may need to squeeze again. So once you get to that point, oh, I need to show you something first. Let me show you this. A lot of times when you pull the tab from the can, this piece tends to stick up, and it's a good idea to have it kind of flush. So just take your pliers and squeeze it slightly down so it's not poking up right there. All right. So we're at this point where we have our feet, and one thing that you want to do is kind of put them where you want to, and then we need to secure them so they're not moving around. And the way I do that is I take my dimensional glue that I like so well, and it dries quickly, and it doesn't take but just a little bit. Notice that we've got a precise tip here, so I can come right in, and we're going to put just a little bit. It doesn't take much. Matter of fact, that was probably a little bit too much, but that's okay. That is okay. And put some there, and what you'll find is that once it dries, it's going to be right there in that spot. So turn this over. Okay, now from your cardboard, you should have done this prior to, so my apologies. You need to trace a pop top. You need to trace 2 of them because we're going to use 2 pieces of cardboard. So we're going to trace this pop top, and then we're going to cut them out, and they're going to look like this right here. And you'll notice already that these look smaller than this, which is a good thing, because when you traced the outside of this, you don't want to cut on the line, because your cardboard, once you adhere to the back of it, you don't want the cardboard sticking out. You want it kind of hidden underneath, and maybe just, I don't know, a 1/16 of an inch or so on kind of a margin all the way around, so that you see that these are smaller than these. So what happens is that you're going to take this and you're going to glue it to that so it appears that way. And I have one done so you can see, and it looks like this right here. It's all glued together. So there's that one. And then the next thing that you're going to do after that is you're going to take one of your sequins. In this particular instance, I chose silver. You can choose any color you want. I like having that silver backing, but it also serves another purpose because of this right here. If you place these sequins in here, it has a tendency to fall in, so you have kind of an inch, and if that's what you're looking for, that's all fine and well. It'll work just as well. I wanted a more level surface, so this sequin seems to be right about the same height as the edge of this pop top, so it gives it a level surface all the way around. And from here, we're going to see about putting our beak on, and the way I chose to do it, and another way besides this one is probably using felt for a beak. But what I did is I took a sequin and I cut it, and you see that I wound up with a triangular piece that I could use as a beak. So it looks something like this. Notice that I've got the silver sequin, and I've got, in this particular case, a blue beak right there. So there's my triangular piece. Now let me say something about this. That beak is tiny. This is when this comes in very handy, because when you're dealing with something that small, invariably you're going to get glue on your fingers, and then it wants to stick to your fingers and not to the pop top. So use your tweezers. You'll like it a lot better. All right, so we've got that, and now our owl needs to be able to see. So we're gonna, let me show you. We have these sequins that I chose, and we need to give him, I would say, his eye or his pupil and all, and I chose to give him some orange centers right here. I see that I'm off just a little bit. That's all right. We'll make him a little bit quirky. So what happens is that we look at this, and this is what he looks like. And I'm not showing you his body yet because I don't want you to see it yet. So we glued this on. Again, use your tweezers to position that, and use, if you so choose, the dimensional glue, and it doesn't take long for it to dry at all. So if you notice, remember, in these, seed beads, kind of large, mini ones, a singular bead. This one I decided that I was going to, in honor of Happy Bird and her glitter nest, to use glitter, and I used the micro glitter in here, and it is a black color, and it does have some iridescence to it. But this is one of the parts where really you can be very imaginative what kind of body that you want to put in there. And so I just want to show you some things, not anything, a couple of them I wouldn't ever use in this particular one, but just for the sheer fact of the shape and the size. And it's this one right here. If we wanted to put in that type of bead, you know, it would be prettier if it was a, I don't know, maybe a pink color or whatever color would look good in there. So just notice that that's a flat bead. Also kind of a little bit smaller than the size of a dime. And then this one's even smaller. It is flat. It is not a puff bead, but it is flat, but it is very thick. And I do have somewhere some other colors that were green and orange and yellow, and I thought, wow, that would be pretty if you had something like that, and that would be very cute like that. So I just want to show you some options. Now the other two, which I've been debating which one to use, and I'll show you, is I found this one in my stash, and I thought, oh, that is so pretty, just like that. So you can see what you can do with these owls. And then the last one is this one right here, which is just an orange rhinestone, and put it there. And believe me, I do like this one, but I think for the sake of this, because of the eyes being orange and this tying it together, I think I'm going to go with this one right here. So you can see, you can make it however you want to. Now we're going to use our dimensional glue. I'm going to put some here. And put this down here. Okay, so there's his body. Now, the part that really gives it a lot of character, and I chose purple, are his ears, his real feathery ears. And I think what I'm going to do is hold on to my orange gemstone as well as I can so you can see this. Alright, so we've got that there. And I'm going to go back to dimensional glue. Put this here. And we have one feather. And two feather. All right, we have that. Now, since I'm holding the gem, I can't quite do this yet. But once this dries, you're going to put this backing on here. But before you do, take your marker and color the backing of this one. And notice that this was the printed side of our my saltine cracker box, and there again is the printed side, but that's going to be hidden because we're going to glue this one on top of this one, and this will be black. That is like that right there. And see how that finishes it off very nicely, that you're not seeing the raw edges of where the feather is glued, and probably secures it better too. Alright, so we have that, and let's take a look at him. Alright, we'll move this out of the way. And that's pretty much how he is. So there is your quirky owl that I like to call. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'd love to see your creations. Please post on Happy Bird's Glitter Nest. I think we would all like to see them. And again, if I've missed anything, have any questions, just send me the question and I'll be glad to answer it. Thanks.